All right. Hey everyone, it's Shay. Yeah, as you can see, the no caffeine challenge is now complete. I'm completely finished with that. So, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on how that went. So, yeah. I've had 2 cups of coffee today. One at lunch. I had just a small little cup of American coffee. It wasn't really that great, but it was something. But at that time, I didn't really feel much at all. No rush or anything like that. So that was actually quite underwhelming. But then after lunch, I went to Starbucks and I got one of those really sugary, almost like a dessert type things, like a caramel macchiato, I think. And Starbucks for me has always been a little strong. Like I like strong coffee, but for some reason I always get a really big caffeine buzz when I drink Starbucks coffee. But this one, still, no extreme feelings on that. I wasn't. So my first day back drinking coffee was really underwhelming. Really underwhelming. But I'm back. I mean, it feels good. Actually, I'm drinking coffee right now, but this is actually non-caffeinated coffee, so ironic, but still tastes alright. I think in the morning I'm going to buy some coffee and start drinking again, because I really I mean, I like coffee, but I'm not really addicted to it, I've come to find. So over the course of this last month, I've gone without drinking any coffee, no soda, no teas even, just pretty much just water, and I've had alcohol, but that doesn't count as caffeinated. But yeah, as I said in some previous videos, the first couple of days it was quite rough. I had the headaches, the fatigue, the normal caffeine withdrawal symptoms that a lot of people get. But after the first few days were finished, like after 3 or 4 days, there was nothing. I just felt completely fine, and I was pretty much the exact same ever since then. Like there was nothing else that had changed. So the experiment was actually quite underwhelming, I guess. I've used that quite a bit in this video already. That it seemed underwhelming. It was pretty underwhelming. But I don't know what I was going to expect. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than it was. I thought it was going to be way more difficult than it was, but luckily it wasn't. And I think what's really good is I proved to myself that I could go without something for a certain period of time. So for me, maybe I wasn't even addicted to the caffeine. It was just more the psychological aspect of it, of drinking something every day and for so long. And so after the first few days wore off, I was determined not to drink it. I didn't. So to me, that just proves that I can go without something that I really like if I really want to. That willpower or in determination. Like if you set a goal, you can definitely fulfill that, or at least I can. So I've really enjoyed the fact that I've proved to myself that I can do that. So anything else that I regularly consume that perhaps I feel like I can't go without. Well, I know that I can. I know that I can. And I've never really had an addictive personality. Do you call it a personality? I don't know. I've never really been one to get addicted to things. I don't really even care for alcohol too much. I mean, I like the occasional buzz that you get, but I just don't really have the strive to drink a lot. I went through periods when I was young where I played games a lot, and I would play for a lot of hours, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. But now, like, I still play games occasionally, but nah, it's I can go like weeks without playing a game and I'll be fine. So really, there's nothing for me that like I get really addicted to, and maybe that's good. But so anyway, yeah, the thoughts on this were that overall, I'm glad that I went without drinking any caffeine for as long as I did. Will I do it again? No, I mean not as a set experiment. I'll still drink coffee probably for the rest of my life. I might not drink as much. Who knows? I'll drink it if it's available. That's it. And yeah, I really see no problem with caffeine or coffee. There's nothing that will prevent you from being a productive person. In fact, I think it kind of helps production and concentration. So chalk that one up for okay. If you guys who are watching think of any other challenges that I could do, that I could go without, or you want me to do on this channel, please let me know in the chat, because I like doing these sort of videos. It's kind of cool to set like a little goal and then record your progress and see how you're doing on it. Yeah. So dude, hey Subwolf, what's going on? Thanks for watching. Yeah, so here in Japan, drinking my non-caffeinated coffee on my first day of drinking actual coffee. It's springtime in Japan. It's the last day of March. Tomorrow's April 1st. No joke. The cherry blossoms have not started to bloom yet in Utsunomiya. A special kind have. If you've seen my last video, about the cherry blossoms, those are called Kawazu Zakura, which are a different type of cherry blossom. But from tomorrow, I think all the regular cherry blossoms will start blooming, and in 1 week they'll be in full bloom here where I'm at. But I think the YouTube Hanami is tomorrow, so if you're going to that, in at least the Tokyo YouTube Hanami is tomorrow, so if you're going to that, that is tomorrow. I won't be there. I have another party that I'll be at up here in Utsunomiya. So I think I'm the only one. Yeah, you're the only one. This is actually my first live stream that I'm taking serious. I've tried to live stream before, but I've either really didn't have anything to talk about at the time, or it was just an experiment. So hopefully I'll be doing this more. I kind of like it. So Subwoof, what's going on? Whereabouts are you in the world? And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'll just be chilling out, waiting for you guys to respond and talk about some stuff that's really been on my mind recently. I do enjoy a good cup of coffee. California, nice. Whereabouts in California? Yeah, my friends and I took a road trip to California about 10 years ago, summer of 2006. We drove all the way from Texas to San Diego, and spent some time in San Diego and Tijuana, drove to LA, drove to Las Vegas, and then drove back to Texas in a 10-day trip. That was really fun. I'm going to Japan with my friends in July for 1 month. Cool. July is going to be really hot, but you're from Irvine, so I'm sure you're used to the heat of California. But maybe the humidity will be quite high. So I don't know how I don't remember how the humidity was in SoCal when I went, but when I went to San Diego, it seemed like the humidity was not high at all. It seemed really comfortable, but Japanese summers are extremely humid and hot. So just prepare for that when you come. What are you doing for a month? Yeah, yeah, SoCal's beautiful. I love Southern California. If I were to move back to the States, Southern California would be one of the places I would move to, just because it's so beautiful, and I love that area. But one thing keeping me back is the cost. It's extremely expensive to live in Southern California, isn't it? I would imagine so. I mean, nice weather all year round, beautiful views. You know, it seems like paradise, but you still need to plan where to go and what to do. Oh man, if you have 1 month in Japan, if you have 1 full month in Japan, that's gonna be enough time for you to do a lot. You gotta, of course, hit all the touristy spots just to get those out of the way and say you did it. But if you're here for 1 month, what I really recommend is you travel to the less traveled places and like the small towns, because those are really cool. One of the places that you might go to is called Nikko, which is a really historical place. I actually live close to Nikko, and it's a definite must. You have to go there if you visit Japan. Yeah, it's a really great area. I love Nikko a lot. But yeah, you got to hit all the normal touristy spots as well. You know, do the general touristy stuff. Have you been to Japan before? First time? It's nice and chill. So, yeah, Japan, I don't know if you guys know this, but Japan has 4 seasons. 4! 1, 2, 3, 4. Japan has 4 seasons. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that's one thing you'll hear a lot here. Oh, we have 4 seasons here. So, let's see, this is our route starting in Hokkaido, traveling south, then Kyoto and Nara, then Osaka, then Tokyo. Okay, so you're just really doing Hokkaido and Honshu, which is good, which is cool. I've never been to Hokkaido yet. I really want to go to Hokkaido. You're going at a great time for Hokkaido. Hokkaido in July has really nice weather, and there's just like fields of lavender flowers everywhere. It's really beautiful from what I've seen in pictures. First time going somewhere without parents. Okay, nice. Have you been to a different country before outside of America? Obviously with your parents, since Japan will be the first time without your parents. Do they card you in Japan for drinks? Um, Actually, no. No, they don't. I've never been carded. But if you buy drinks at a convenience store, you will have to hit like a little button on the screen that says you're over 20. I don't know what you look like. If you look young, they'll probably be a little bit skeptical, but I'd say if you're like 18 or something, like they're not gonna care, especially if you're a foreigner. Like they're not gonna know if you're 20 or not. I've never been carded the entire time I've been here. The only time my ID has been checked at a drinking establishment is when I go to a club, so going into bars or going into convenience stores and buying alcohol, never been carded. I mean, when I first moved to Japan, I was 23 and I wasn't carded then, and I'm 31 now and I'm still not carded. So no, as long as I think it's maybe a little bit easier for us because it's hard to tell our age, so you could look really young or look older than you actually are, and so they won't really say anything. Now, if you obviously are like a teenager, you look like a teenager, like you're in high school, then yeah, they'll be a little bit skeptical, but for the most part, they won't card you. Yeah, if you're 19, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, if you try and go into a club or something, then yeah, you might have an issue because they will want to see your ID, which will be your passport, and I don't know, they'll let you into a club at 18, but I don't think they'll let you drink, because I know I've seen under 20 people. I've seen people under 20 at clubs, but the drinking age in Japan is 20. I know for a fact. Like I said, they're not going to card you though. Hawaii and Mexico. I've been to Tijuana. That was not really that fun. Driving in Tijuana was horrible. That's probably one of the worst places I've ever driven. And I've seen a lot of bad drivers in Texas and here in Japan, but Tijuana had to be the worst that I've driven in. How has teaching been? It's good. I'm actually, from this year, I'm going to be moving in a more operational position at my company. I'll still be teaching a little bit, but I'm going to basically be managing and operating the school now, starting from April. So it's kind of transitioning in that way. I still like teaching. It's fun, but I'm really excited. I'm actually really excited to be taking on different aspects of the business. A lot of people who come to Japan to teach English, they come here when they're really young. And if it's a job right out of university, you're going to, it's going to be good. It's a good job for you. I mean, it's easy, it's fun, you get money to go out and party. Teaching English is a great beginner job, but if you stay here longer, into your late 20s and early 30s, you really need to consider doing something other than just teaching, whether it be improving your Japanese and going into translating or something, or you working at universities, not just teaching conversational English past that certain point, or even starting up your own business, your own school at that point. Because what I like in regular English teaching in Japan is like a entry-level job, and you get entry-level pay. So I would say it takes a little bit more skill than working at a McDonald's or something, but um, you really need to continuously improve on your teaching and learn other things other than just the teaching aspect, because you don't want to be someone in their 40s and 50s still just doing regular eikaiwa or conversational English teaching, because there's not a lot of improvement there in the big companies. Like, you're kind of restricted back in a lot of places, so you really need to improve upon yourself and things that you can actually contribute to the world, instead of just being a human tape recorder. And the way that I've kind of grown in my teaching style is I don't just regurgitate grammar points and get the student to repeat back. I actually try and coach them to speak in a conversational way. So it's not just like, this is a pen, this is an apple, you know, none of that bullshit. Like, I try and get them to actually have a conversation, and so it's more of a English coaching and not English teaching. So I think that sets my style, that's set apart there, focusing on getting the students to talk more than me in the class. And it took me a lot of years to develop that, you know. I remember when I first started teaching, I was like really afraid of even getting in front of a group of people and talking. Like, I was shaking, I was nervous, my lip was quivering. Oh God, I hated it so much. But now I can get in front of a crowd of 300 people and just kind of be goofy, and, you know, like, it just comes with time. Just comes with time, you know. But long story short, teaching's fun, but yeah, I'm really excited about the direction I'm headed in my career. So, are you considering being an English teacher in Japan, if you like it? How did you learn Japanese? Because I can't read and only understand a few words. I self-taught, man. I came here, I didn't know any Japanese other than like the initial greetings and stuff. So I took a couple volunteer classes. Like, there were these volunteer classes at the International Center here in Utsunomiya, and they were okay, but I could clearly see that it really wasn't going anywhere special. So I got like a little hiragana book from the guy, and during my lunch breaks when I worked at Eon, I just taught myself hiragana. I would write the first 5 hiragana one day, the next day I would write them again, and then write the next 5. And I kept doing that until I got all of the hiragana down. Took me a week. Then I did the katakana in like a couple of days. And then, then I just started hitting the kanji. I got a book called Heisig's Remembering the Kanji, and I kind of loosely based my study of kanji on that. Like, I took the concept and I made it my own, and so I learned kanji after that. And then once I knew hiragana, katakana, and kanji, all the while I was like listening to Japanese all the time. Then once I learned those, I started buying like really easy comic books written in Japanese that have the furigana, which are small hiragana characters next to kanji, so I could learn real Japanese made for Japanese people to ingest. And it was very colloquial type Japanese. So basically I just kept self-studying since I came here. My dad is against me leaving the house. Well, dude, you're 19. I mean, you need to get out of the house. I mean, that's just my opinion. You know, you're an adult now. So, I mean, I'm sure your dad means well, but you're your own man now, you know. He shouldn't have that much control over you. I mean, who am I to say? I left I went to university until I was 20. I moved out when I was 20, but I was still at university. But I still lived in the same town. I rented an apartment with a friend because I needed to get out. You know, like if you're young, but you're an adult, you can't stay at home. You know, you can't rely on mommy and daddy. The best thing you can do if you're an adult is go out on your own, find a friend, get some roommates, and get a cheap place, because that will be the best time of your life. You can go in and out when you want. It starts giving you a little bit of responsibility. You know, like you take care of your own bills, you take care of your own, you set up your own utilities, you have to learn to clean by yourself. Like anything you can do to be self-sustaining, that's a good thing. So I'm not shitting on people who stay at home for years and years. That's cheap. That's a good way to save money. But if you want to learn self-reliance and self-responsibility, get out of the house as soon as you can. I mean, my mom was, even after I'd moved out of the house, like she was okay with that because I was still in the same town. But when I moved to Japan, she really hated it. But I was 23 at the time, you know, so, you know, you're your own adult. You're an adult. You're your own person. You got to do what you have to do. So, you know, it's like, yeah, love you, mom and dad, but you know, this is my life. You got to do what you got to do. Angry. He'll get angry if you leave. So, but see, that's not on you. That's not your responsibility for that. Like, if he has health issues and whatnot, that's not your fault for wanting to move out. Now, if he's like the only person if he's your only parent, you know, like I said, I don't know your situation. If he's your only parent and he has the, you know, the health issues, you know, then maybe, yeah, like you need to take care of him or something. That's understandable. But if your mom's there too, you know, and if he just say, you know, you're your own man or woman. I don't know if you're man or woman, but I would just assuming. Regardless, you're your own adult. You can do what you want. But yeah, that's the advice I got for that. But yeah, I think yeah, self-reliance, self-responsibility is the number one thing that young people should learn. That I'm glad that I was able to learn at a young age, because um, because I basically, even though I don't consider myself fluent, with the attitude that I had of being self-reliant, you know, that pushed me to learn as much Japanese as possible, to the point where I can conduct business in Japanese, I can talk on the phone in Japanese, I can talk to banks, you know, companies to set up utilities. I was able to find my own apartment by myself here in Japan using all Japanese. So that sense of it, like being self-reliant and self-responsible, gives you freedom, and it also gives you the drive to learn things, because you know the world is sink or swim. You're not always gonna have, you know, your parents' wings to keep you warm. You got to learn to get out on your own. And I think a problem with people in I sound like a really old man saying this, and I'm not, but it's people in my generation too. I think a lot of people in my generation, as well as people younger than me, they rely too much on their parents, and you can't do that. I mean, it's a harsh truth, you know. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, because you can save money that way. You can do it smart, but I honestly think, you know, it's better to be a little bit uncomfortable out on your own and have to survive and learn how to make money, than it is to just say, okay, I can come home and mommy and daddy will have a nice warm meal and a nice warm bed for me. That's good, and that's cool that people can have that, but you know, it delays learning the self-responsibility a lot, I think. That's just my opinion. So I have no regrets moving out when I did. No regrets. Oh, I see we have 3 viewers now. Hello to you, the 2 silent people who aren't commenting. Which is fine. Thanks for watching. I don't, you know, thank you. But, yeah, anything else about Japan or just things in general? Subwoof has been the MVP of this stream so far. Yeah, no problem, Subwoof. I mean, you asked for it, and I just gave you my honest opinion. So, but you do what you got to do, you know. If you think it's best to stay home, then for your dad's health, then that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? But, you know, life's an adventure. I love doing what I'm doing. I love traveling. It's fun. So, because yeah, we only get one life to live. So, isn't that some sort of soap opera? One life to live, maybe. But we only get one life to live, and you got to make the best of the time that you're here, because it could be gone just like that, and you know, you don't know what's on the other side. So just you live your life. You do what you want to do, and say, you know, basically fuck it. Just don't care what people think, and just do what you want to do. Have fun. As long as you don't hurt any other people, then who cares what you do? It's just my feelings on it. But man, Subwoof, you live in Southern California. I don't know if I would want to come to Japan if I lived in Southern California. Like, I kind of dream of moving to Southern California myself, and I'm in Japan. So, because I hate cold winters, dude. Like, that's the thing about being in Japan, is the winters get really cold. I wouldn't say really cold. You know, anyone who's like Canadian or something watching is probably laughing. You don't know cold weather. But it's cold enough where you need to bundle up pretty well, especially if you're in Hokkaido. But and the summers are really hot. So, oh snap, Subwoof, thank you so much, dude. That is awesome. Thank you for that donation. You are awesome, man. Thank you. If you any topic you want me to talk about in a video or anything, please email me. My email's in the description, so just email me, and if you have anything, then I'll make a video about that. I really appreciate that, dude. Awesome. But yeah, no man, like I really think that I'd like to live in Southern California someday. The costs, though, that really keeps me back. So if I can earn enough money, I'll definitely move to Southern California at some point. But see, I'd also like to live in Spain, or yeah, definitely Spain. Spain seems like a really cool place to live. I studied a bit of Spanish, and that's probably my next language I'll learn is Spanish again, just so I can go to Spain. Netherlands seems cool. Anywhere in Europe, really. Like, not so much the UK, but anywhere in Europe is probably a cool place to live. But recently, Europe is, I don't know, it seems a little bit dangerous, you know. So, I have a question for you, Subwoof. How is it living in a Trump America? Isn't it expensive to live in Japan, though? That's a really big misconception a lot of people have, is Japan is expensive. living in Tokyo is expensive. Tokyo is expensive. But where I live, I mean, I earn enough money. I'm not going to say how much I earn, but I have enough money to live comfortably. I have a nice, pretty nice place, at least for me, 3-bedroom apartment, a garden, close to downtown, and I don't really pay that much for rent. I have my own car. Cars are expensive in Japan. Owning a car is expensive in Japan because the inspection and upkeep is really expensive here, and the taxes. But you don't need a car. Like if I just had a bicycle, I could ride my bike and travel by train and stuff. But for work, I do a lot of driving around, so bicycle would probably not be good for that. But no, where I live in a medium-sized city, man, it's not expensive at all. You just gotta, if you're frugal with your money, man, you don't spend a lot. Like, the people who lose money in Japan are the people who go out drinking every single night after work. That will set you back. That will definitely set you back. But for the first, let's just say, when I first moved to Japan, I only came here with maybe $1,500, $2,000, but I've been able to grow that to a significant amount. So you can easily save money in Japan. To be honest, I actually wanted Trump. All right, I'm not hating on that. I personally, like, between the two, Clinton or Trump, I would have gone with Trump. I didn't vote, just out of principle. I don't believe in voting. That's just me. And let me just say this. I don't hate Trump. I hate the people he surrounds himself with. I don't agree with their philosophy on governing. But Trump himself seems like a really pragmatic guy. I mean, he's a businessman, so he'll do whatever he thinks is probably best. But if he has these people like Bannon or Sessions or people like that whispering in his ear, I don't think that's good. That's not good, because especially Sessions. Good thing he might be on his way out because he's under scandal. But really, Sessions, Bannon, and a few others like Rick Perry, nah. So I didn't vote because California is a Democratic state. Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, that's like Texas. You pretty much, that's just gonna go to Republicans. But recently, I don't know. Texas is getting more and more Democratic just because of the large amount of Mexican immigrants in the big cities are really Democratic. Like Dallas, I think, votes Democratic. Austin definitely votes Democratic, but other cities like San Antonio and Houston are fairly Republican. So I think Texas is kind of split. There's like a big vast of Republicans all around the state, and then like little pockets of Democrats. But to me, I just think the whole two-party system is bullshit at this point. Get rid of parties, I used to live, where I lived in Texas, I used to live in the district of Ron Paul, and I really like Ron Paul. He's one of my favorite politicians. Too bad he's not running for president anymore, but if you don't know a lot of what Ron Paul talks about, just look up some of his speeches and debates on YouTube, and I pretty much align a lot of myself with Ron Paul if I had to do that. But I'm kind of becoming a little disillusioned with politics in general, especially after this last election. So I have a question, Subwoof, that about California. Tell me, what is the worst thing about living in Southern California? The worst thing. because if I'm considering moving there, I'd like to know. Obviously, this won't be for in the foreseeable future. I'm talking about years and years ahead. Thinking about that, huh? Well, I'll go and I'll talk about. Speaking of the worst thing about living places, I don't say a lot of negative stuff about Japan, but I'll just say what I think is not a good thing about my least favorite thing about living in Japan. There's a couple of minor things for me. The way people drive here really pisses me off. People are almost bad drivers. Okay, it looks like we have the bad drivers everywhere. No, I hate stereotypes, I really do, but Japan is not doing themselves any favors with the way they drive. I'll just say that. At least they're polite drivers here for the most part. Like, you know, in America, people will cut you off and not give a fuck. At least here in Japan, if people cut you off, they'll at least flash some lights at you saying thank you for letting me cut you off. So they still do it, but you know, it's not very often. Yeah, drivers here are shit for the most part, especially where I live. I think I live in the worst prefecture, like a state or something, the worst prefecture for drivers in this whole country. I think we're number one in like bad accidents and deaths by vehicle and everything. So maybe that's why I'm just having I live in a bad place for driving. But other than that, well, this one's not really like a negative thing. It's like a double-edged sword. But if you really, really like Japan and you want to be a part of this country and like yeah, I want to be a citizen, I want to be Japanese. No, you won't be Japanese. Even if you become a citizen in this country, you'll never be Japanese, because being Japanese is not only a nationality, it's like a ethnicity, it's a culture, it's all wrapped into one. So even Japanese people born in, let's say, America, growing up in America, coming to Japan, they're not Japanese either. They're American first. So it's more of a cultural identity, and once you get past that, a lot of frustrating things about this country go out of the window, and then you realize you actually have a really neat status as a foreigner in Japan, because if you learn enough Japanese to communicate, they know you're here for long term, but you're still considered not Japanese. So there's certain cultural things that you can get by, you can kind of skirt by, and they'll be like, he's foreign, who cares? So that's really, that works to your advantage. Weebs, yeah. No, actually, I've been kind of lucky. Where I live, I've not encountered that many weebs, as they say. There's not that many weeaboos, or people just really, really obsessed with Japan. I've seen a few, but they seem to be decent people. They're not weird, you know. So now going to Tokyo, that's a different story. I've seen some really weird otaku type people there. But here in Utsunomiya, no. Whitewashed. I'm not sure what you mean by whitewashed, but no, I mean, Japan's not a perfect place to live. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with this country, but there's a lot of stuff wrong with every country, you know? Like, there's no perfect paradise on this planet. You're kidding yourself if you think it is. Like, all these people who come over here thinking Japan is like some cute anime and everyone talks like an anime character, you're in for a big surprise. Japan is just a country like every other place. Positives to living in Japan: it's safe here for the most part. It's really safe. It's clean for the most part. It's really clean. The society is really well organized, but on the flip side of that, everything is just too organized, so there's not a lot of wiggle room, so everything has to be a certain way a lot of the time, so that can get frustrating. But it's safe, it's organized, it's clean. You don't really have a lot to worry about walking down the street. There's not really much of concern. You know, I see women walking by themselves all the time, you know. Sure, bad things happen here, but they're very rare compared to other places. Downsides are Japan seems to be socially and culturally a little bit behind the rest of the world in terms of certain issues. But they're coming along. I think Japan is just a big follower in the world. Like, they see what other places are doing and they'll jump on the boat, but they're like one of the last ones to jump on for a civilized country. Our train tickets a lot. Depends on what kind of train you ride. If you're riding the Shinkansen, the bullet trains, yeah, they're quite expensive. But if you get actually, you're coming in July, you won't be eligible to get this I forgot the name of it. It's like Juhachi something pass. It's like a 18 pass, but Seishun pass. Like, it's like a youth 18 pass. Basically what it is you buy a certain ticket for, I think, $110 or something, roughly around $110, and like you buy this and you can use it up to 6 times if you're an individual. If it's 2 people, you can use it up to 3 times. If it's 6 people, every person can use it once. But basically, you can travel anywhere in the country by like local trains with that one ticket until either it goes by usages. So if you're just one person, you can use it like for 6 days, pretty much. You can use it for 6 days. You can go anywhere with it, and it covers all the cost. If it's 6 people, you can go anywhere within the day with that one day. So I think it's like Seishun Juhachi Kippo, which is like youth 18 ticket. But they only happen during certain times, like around spring, Golden Week, summer, like in end of July to the beginning of September, and then again in the winter time around Christmas and New Year's. Heard it was like 500 for 21 days or something. I don't know about that, man. That might be some sort of package deal that you get. I just know what Japan offers. The Shinkansens are a little bit more pricey, but they're really cool. If you've never ridden in a Shinkansen, the bullet train, they're really fast, they're really smooth. It's almost like sitting in an airplane. Like, you get you know, a lady coming by offering you to buy snacks, food, or even beer. You can order alcohol. You can get from one end of Japan to the other in like 4 or 5 hours, which is really cool. But they can be expensive. Like, you need you need your actual train ticket, and then you need, like, if you get a reserved seat, you need a boarding ticket. So you can have reserved or non-reserved seating on that. So those run quite a bit. So if I go from where I'm at in Utsunomiya and I go to Tokyo, by Shinkansen it takes about 45 minutes, which is really quick because it's about 100 kilometers away. So it takes 45 minutes to get there, but the cost would be, I believe it's like maybe 2,500 yen, $25 roughly for the ticket and the boarding thing. So it translates maybe almost $50 or a little bit more than that for the trip. You're not allowed to use your phone on the train. Yeah, it's considered rude to talk on your phone on the train. Everyone uses their phone, like texting and stuff. They just turn the silence thing on. You're supposed to put it on manner mode, which is, silence, vibrate. If you get a phone call, you're supposed to leave the train and take it. I've seen people talk on the trains, though. Japanese people, not just foreign people, but I've seen, and anyone, businessmen, old ladies, young people. I've seen people of all ages talking on the train. Another weird thing in Japan is it's considered bad manners to walk and eat. Like if you get something at a convenience store, like some nice rice ball or bread or something, and you open it and you're eating it while you're walking, that's considered bad manners. But if you get alcohol, you're free to drink alcohol while walking down the public street. That's pretty cool. So it's just like different faux pas. But I've seen Japanese people break every single rule that's supposedly supposed to be here. People say that Japanese people don't jaywalk. I see people jaywalking all the time, especially old people. Old ladies on their bikes crossing, old men on their bikes crossing, people running across the street, jaywalking. I'd say jaywalking is really common here. Really common. But yeah, I see people use their phone all the time. I've seen people, like salarymen, like business guys, drunk on the trains. Like they'll be sitting there like with their beer or something on the floor. It's really weird, and no one even cares. No one pays any attention to them. They're just like, And I thought that was really funny. But yeah, so yeah, dangerous. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. But you won't get mugged here. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed is I don't think there's not a lot of petty theft. The only thing that gets stolen a lot in this country are bicycles if they're not chained up, and umbrellas. People will steal your umbrellas. I think there's like this unspoken thing where like you put an umbrella in the slot before you go into a store, and someone leaves and they'll just take any umbrella there, but that also kind of gives you the right to do the same thing. You leave an umbrella, you take an umbrella. So I think everyone does it. Bicycles, that's the thing that would piss me off though. Like if I had a bike and someone took it, like come on man. But wallets, man, if you drop your wallet with all your money in it, guaranteed. I mean, I'd say 98% positive that you will get your wallet back, nothing else disturbed. All your money is going to be there, all your cards, everything. My wallet was stolen in Korea when I went to South Korea a couple years ago. I lost like $700. I lost all my credit cards. Yeah, and I still had like a few days left in Korea, so that was fun. Not having any money in Korea for a while. It was not the only ID was my passport, but South Korea, the cops were more than a joke. So I never saw my wallet or that money or anything ever again. But in Japan, I think I've left my wallet or my cell phone even a couple times on a park bench or something, and went to the nearest police station, and sure enough, it was there, and no one had messed with it. The extent of someone messed with it is they found it, looked at the ID, closed it back up, and took it to the police station. That's it. You will most likely, if you lose your wallet, most likely get it back. If I don't know about passports, but I'm pretty sure, because Japanese people are pretty good about that sort of thing. If they find money on the ground, they'll probably turn it in and say, I found money on the ground. I don't know if they'll keep it. If I find money on the ground, I keep it. That's just me. But now, if I found someone's wallet, yeah, I'd turn it in. I'm not going to steal that. But if I just see cash on the ground that somebody dropped, and I don't know who dropped it, hell yeah, I'm picking that up. But I definitely will not steal wallets, because I know how that feels and it sucks. So but yeah, dude, if you're coming to Japan in July, you're gonna have fun, man. Like, you and your friend, just plan what to do. It's gonna be a really cool experience, especially if you've never been here before, and you're gonna spend a whole month here. That's awesome. Like, I think every young person needs to do a big trip like that. Every big person needs to take a trip. Every young person needs to take a trip that's outside of their state, outside of their country. I mean, I really recommend traveling. It's one of the coolest things you'll ever do, and you have memories for the rest of your life. I mean, when I took that 10-day road trip from Texas to California, it's the first time I'd ever been to California, first time I ever drove anywhere long distance just with my friends, and that was such a cool thing. We were, camping out in the desert, and like, it was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and I'll never forget that. So then 2 years later, I'm off to Japan, and I'll never forget doing that either. So anytime you can travel, do it. Don't stay stuck. If you're in a small town, don't stay stuck in that small town. There's more to the world than your podunk little small town, where Cletus and Mary Jane have the annual ice cream social, and Brother Barrett's hootenanny down at the local church. Get out of that shit. That you don't want to be stuck there at all. See the world, experience the world, live it. So, and that's all I have to say about that, at least for now.